Hey guys, Tom from Mr. Poolman here, day two at our green pool recovery. Fortunately, it's not quite as clear as what we're hoping. We are treading carefully with the pool. We don't want to overdose it or add too much into the mix, especially with the cartridge filter that we have. So what we're going to do today from top to bottom is give the pool a scoop. So try and get any sort of the debris out that might be on the floor of the pool. Probably a lot of pine needles, leaves, sticks from the recent flood. And then from there, we'll empty the skimmer basket, empty the pump basket, clean the cartridge filter again, add a few more chemicals, and then we'll hopefully come back day three with a bit more clarity. All right guys, so what I'm doing here is I'm just getting the leaf rake into the pool, try and see how much debris is on the bottom here. I've got a feeling it's gonna be a lot. So we're just pushing it onto the floor, pulling it all the way across the floor of the pool, and then bringing it up. Now, based on how heavy this is, there's going to be a fair bit in there. As you can see, heaps. So I'll bring that into the camera. As you see, pine needles, bark, sticks, the whole lot. So we're going to scoop this pool today. It's probably why we haven't got the clarity that we're hoping for either. All the chemicals that we added just got eaten up by all that debris. So going to do this back and forth, the length of the pool, get as much of it out, and then we probably might even have to do this again on day three, but let's see. We'll keep going and we'll come back to you soon. All right guys, so what I'm doing here is I've swapped the scoop out for a brush. So just your standard 45 centimeter brush. And what I'm doing is brushing all the debris down to the deep end of the pool. So following the length of the pool. Thankfully the return jets are also blowing that way as they should. So all of the debris that will be on the floor should get pushed down to the deep end. That will hopefully clean up this end a little bit quicker, and then we can scoop all the debris in one go down that deep end. Guys, another thing is a lot of people might be sitting there wondering why we're not just emptying it, draining it, letting the debris dry out, and then scooping it out with a shovel. If you take a look out there, we're actually back onto a lake. So it's a very low lying water level. There is a lot of hydraulic pressure still in the ground, so the water level is still quite high in the surrounding grounds here. So you would certainly run the risk if you drain this pool, the entire pool will pop out of the ground, crack, and once it's done, it's done. You really can't come back from that. So that's why we have to treat the pool as is, try and keep as much water in the pool as possible, especially for the next few weeks or months, depending on the water level here, if it rises again. So that's why we're treating it step by step in this process. It is a little bit longer. You can traditionally empty pools if it suits with the hydraulic pressure, but in this instance, that's not the case. So we're doing it step by step. Which is a bit more of a timely process, but that's why we're here. All right guys, so what we're gonna do now is we've just finished brushing all the debris, scooping it out as much as possible, letting that settle. Do a quick empty of the skimmer basket. So it can be a little bit scary sticking your hand in here with the unknown. We'll pull it straight out, and there's all the debris that's just accumulated over the last day or so. So we'll get that out here, straight out the side, give it a tap. If you wanna try and get as much of it out as possible, that's great. Little bits and pieces won't really matter. And then back in here. Now there is a trick to most skimmer baskets, they'll lock into place. You've got some locating tabs here. So drop it in the pool, lock it into place like so, and it's done. All right guys, after you've cleaned your skimmer basket, you need to make your way over to your pump and filter system. So from here, we're gonna empty the pump basket and take all the debris out of that. So this is how we do it. So pump off, make sure you shut any valves if it's required in your application. In this case, we don't need to. Unscrew the lid. One's nice and easy, lid away, basket out, and you can see all the debris that's in there. Simple upside down, you give it a tap like that. If you need to give it a rub or anything like that to get the other stuff off, no problems. Straight back in the pump. Now make sure the O-ring's still in place, which it is, it's fantastic. Lid on. Locating knobs screwed up nice and tight, not over tight, just so it's sealed. That's it. And then power back on, and away you go. You may need to bleed your cartridge filter if that's the case. In this case, we don't need to worry about it. Water's coming back through, and away we go. All right guys, now last step for the equipment today is gonna be taking out the cartridge filter. So what we'll do again, pump off. You need to shut any valves, do so. Bleed valve, it's gonna allow some air to get into the tank, depressurize the tank. This cartridge filter's got a locking tab on the other side that we need to depress. Unscrew that. Should be quite easy. All the way, there we go. Lid should come straight off. Put that aside. Spigot it out, and the cartridge filter on day 2. So again, you can see it's quite dirty. We'll go give it a clean and get it back in. All right guys, day 2, cleaning the cartridge here. So it's still just as bad as what it was on day 1. So you want to just make sure you get deep in those pleats. Working your way top to bottom is usually best practice. Pushes that debris down in the cartridge filter element, all the way around. If you need to soak it, you could also soak it overnight in a filter cleaner if that needs to give it a little bit of an extra helping hand. We'll give this a clean now, get it back in the tank and get the pool operating. All right guys, halfway through, so you can actually see the before and after here. So where we've cleaned and where we haven't cleaned, just to give you an idea as to how dirty it is and how much these filters do need cleaning on a regular basis, especially when we're doing this kind of green pool cleanup. So just a quick halfway through to give you guys an idea. We'll get back into it. All right guys, filter's all nice and clean now, ready to go back in the tank. So same procedure as pulling it out, dropping it down, and you'll feel it go onto the locating spigot. Spigot on the top, the lid, straight over the top. There's no need to push it down or any sort of excessive force, just simply screw the lid down. Now you hear it click, 1, 2, and then back half a turn. We'll make sure the bleed valve's open. Any sort of valves that you close need to be opened back up again, and power back on. So it'll take a minute for the water to come through. It's coming back through the pump now. You can hear the bleed valve open. So what's happening right now is the water's filling up in the tank from the bottom all the way to the top. Once it gets to the top, water will come through the bleed valve and we'll close it shut. Done. All right guys, so now we're at the final stage for today, day 2. We're going to add a few more chemicals. Again, keeping it quite simple. So the chlorine, the acid, and some super strength granulated chlorine, just to give this a good shock. We've seen how much debris is in the bottom of the pool, so we really want to just give this a good nudge along. Something additional that we're going to add today is a clarifier. Now I want to point out specifically that when you're adding a clarifier to a pool with a cartridge filter element that we've cleaned in other videos, you need to ensure you're going to come back usually within a day, if not 2 days, clean that cartridge filter element. Clarifiers are known to clog cartridge filter elements because obviously they bond all the particles, capture it in the filter, but if it gets forgotten, it's going to clog your filter and they're going to wear prematurely, which aren't covered by warranty. So always take care when adding a clarifier to a cartridge filter pool. We're going to throw it in today, hopefully give us a little bit more clarity for when we come back tomorrow on day 3, and then start giving it a vacuum and getting the last of that debris out of the pool.